on the floor again back to Mike to talk about 9242 uh, as a as a background. If ever the POW project pushes through, it will somehow set the framework on how we can roll out 9242 moving forward. Mike?
Yes, hello, Mr. Chair, and of course to the other esteemed members of Congress, my colleagues, and my friends from the other government agencies. So allow me to discuss some suggestions and recommendations on how we can finally implement RA 9242. Uh, Next slide, please. So this slide actually I got from DTI, and I'm just trying to remind everyone that at its current form, the key provision in terms of the IRR, there's right now a limitation in terms of the content. It's asking right now RA 92, the current form of 9242 right now basically states that 5% of the weight of the fabric should contain this following fibers: abaca, banana, pineapple, and 15% silk. Next slide, please. So for me, and upon my discussions with several stakeholders, we find this kind of limiting and also not practical. Silk is very expensive, and also our local supply is not yet ready to supply the needs. So our suggestion on this regard, and actually, Mr. Chair, I move for an amendment for this. If we so instead of limiting the 5% weight on this certain fibers, if you look at the suggested, I call for changing it to 5% by weight for cotton, banana, pineapple, silk, and other fibers that are locally grown. And of course, the challenge is how to make it wearable. So I think this is the main bottleneck right now in terms of the availability of the raw material. So next slide, please. In terms of the other sections in Rule 5, basically, it's just basically I'm just suggesting that equal opportunity shall be given to all the local suppliers, as long as they meet the required certification from the Philippine Textile Research Institute. Now, the reason why I'm also stressing this, because it's also easy to use imported yarns in this project. So we need PTRI basically to help us track this and of course monitor the raw materials that are being used in this project. And next slide, please. So if you look at the potential here, based on information I got also from the PTRI, we're talking about 18 to 21 million meters of the Philippine textile fiber requirement needed to basically close at least 1.5 million government employees. So this is a potential of at least 9 to 10 billion. It's a 9 to 10 billion project. But again, of course, if you're looking at it conservatively, maybe 10% of that, that's still 1 billion. So the potential is there. Now the question is how we're going to go about it. And one solution is the amendment of the required fibers needed for the project. Next slide, please. So for me, the success of the implementation of RA 9242 is also dependent in the supply of locally made textiles. And solution, of course, is establishment, as proposed also by PTRI, is the establishment of yarn processing facilities in the different provinces if necessary. And I'll just give an example. Negros would be one, for example, would be one area which would make it viable. The main reason, of course, is that we have the raw fibers supply that is available. Next slide, please. So next slide again, please. So, okay, this can be another template that we can use also with the other provinces when we check. So number one, of course, why Negros Island is because we have the fibers. We have cotton, pineapple, bamboo, and even banana, which can be converted to something wearable. And of course, we have strong support from the LGU. I've spoken to several of the officers and officials in the local um, units, and they express interest, and that's important. Of course, we have also a strong association of producers, more than 100 members who feel that which I think they can, which will be benefited also with this project, and more than 300 weavers from Negros Occidental and Oriental. So why this project? I'll putting it simply, it will provide not only a source of livelihood, but also it will also benefit the fiber crop farmers in the area. It will also lead to better peace and order situation because, if as everyone knows, Negros is one of the top when it comes to peace and order situation because of the insurgency, and this goes hand in hand also with the government's current plan to reduce the insurgency conflict. So, and of course, it answers the question that we can make our own local yarns and fabrics. We don't need to import, and hopefully this will lead to self-sufficiency for the Philippines in terms of yarns and textile manufacturing. So, the next slide, please. So, this is just an example of some of the facilities that will be needed. We have a pre-treatment system, then we have the spinning. So, all this is from PTRI, and they'll definitely have a big role in this project. But let's not forget Philfida also, because of their relationship with the farmers, will be providing the raw materials for these projects. So again, I have to reiterate this notion that it can be a provincial project with other provinces. And I think it's a good idea because it can provide big impact in the rural areas. Next. Okay, so end result, with all that the raw material to the processing, we can come up with fibers and textiles. And right now, the commonly what's available right now is the technology to convert pineapple, bamboo, banana, abaca, and bagas into something wearable. But let's not forget, the Philippines, and I have to stress this can be part of, and this can be added to the Philippine narrative, that we're very rich in natural fibers. So we have 30 fibers that we can look into, and probably PTRI and Philfida, they can, we can do something that we can discuss and, make this something, bigger project in the future, because we are gifted with natural fibers as compared to the other countries. This is our major strength, actually. Next slide. So main marketing strategy, I'm just putting short and medium term. So it's not only the weavers, the weaving communities who will benefit, because they can make also the material for RA 9242, but also the how would you say that, the textile millers, Weaver Tex, for example, or Asia Tex, they can also make use of the yarns produced from these facilities and make them into something that would of course fit the bill on serving the RA 9242. Long term, of course, let's not forget the international markets. There's a big demand for sustainable materials, and I'm telling you already, this fabrics that we're producing will be a hit in the long term. And of course, Philippine Tropical Fiber Law RA 9242 needs to be supported, because this can already jumpstart the project. So again, I'm just using Negros as an example because it's the competitive edge is the raw material supply, but we can still look into other provinces also who have the capability. And basically, I think that's my last slide. Okay, the partners, ANP is the Association of Negros Producers, the OST, the Academe, the local LGUs, the Philippine Fashion Coalition, and of course, Philfida, DTI, Design Center, SciTem, and PhilExport. So, Mr. Chair, that basically ends my presentation, and I turn back to you.